Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. So, if you've spent, any time at all looking at cybersecurity news lately, you've definitely seen it. A compact, bright orange device with this adorable pixelated cyber dolphin on the screen. It is literally everywhere. It's causing a massive stir, generating global headlines, and sparking some really intense debates about digital security. But as with all that hype, comes a huge mountain of misinformation. Okay, let's dive into this and start unpacking the actual facts behind the Flipper Zero. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to start by looking at what this device actually is, then we'll navigate the whole international regulatory crackdown, look at the legalities, check out its built-in region locks, and finally, get into some highly practical advice for getting through airport security and protecting your own business infrastructure. All right, part 1, the viral hacking multi-tool. Now, to truly understand this little device, we first have to separate what it was actually designed for from all those wild internet myths. Especially those crazy viral TikTok videos that totally blur the line between reality and fiction. The manufacturer actually markets this thing as a portable, multi-tool device for geeks. Think of it kind of like a digital Swiss Army knife. It was built specifically for authorized penetration testing, hardware exploration, and security research. It's meant to be this consolidated, pocket-sized lab for IT pros and hobbyists. Let's ground the hype in some technical reality here. The Flipper Zero is packed with hardware that reads NFC and RFID chips, so exactly like your tap-to-pay card or your office badge. It interacts with infrared signals, for things like TVs, uses Sub-GHz radio protocols for stuff like remote garage doors, and connects via Bluetooth Low Energy. But actually, here is the absolute most important takeaway. The Flipper Zero doesn't introduce fundamentally new technologies. Not at all. Every single one of these capabilities has been available for years in other, often way more specialized pieces of hardware. What makes the Flipper Zero so novel is simply its highly portable form factor and an incredibly user-friendly interface. Let's move to part 2 and see how this builds, the international regulatory crackdown. So, because of its portable design and, frankly, its viral notoriety, global governments have started to react, and in some cases, they're kind of panicking. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark inconsistency in how different international bodies are handling this hardware right now. Look at Brazil. Their telecommunications agency has outright seized shipments because it lacks radio frequency certification. Canada, they've been actively studying potential prohibitions over concerns about auto theft relay attacks. Meanwhile, over in the European Union, they allow it just fine, as long as it meets their CE radio equipment standards. And in the United States, well, there is absolutely no federal ban at all. You might have heard it was banned on Amazon, but honestly, that was strictly a retail platform policy decision, not a legal government mandate. This whole fragmented global response brings up a really massive debate in the cybersecurity world. On one hand, governments are heavily focusing on the mere possibility of illegal usage. But on the other hand, organizations like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, or EFF, argue that cybersecurity tools are absolutely crucial for defensive research. Their stance is that banning these tools wholesale actively harms the professionals who are out there trying to patch system flaws. Furthermore, they point out that malicious actors, the people determined to break the law, will simply find ways to circumvent these bans, or just use entirely different hardware, leaving the good guys at a severe disadvantage. Which naturally brings us to part 3. Is the device actually illegal? This is the core question everyone asks, right? And we need to draw a crystal clear line here. In the United States, possessing and purchasing the Flipper Zero is entirely 100% legal at the federal level. It is a completely legitimate tool when used for authorized security research and IT auditing. So the crucial point is this. The moment you use it to access a computer, a network, or a physical access system without authorization, you are violating the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Think of it exactly like a crowbar. It's perfectly legal to own a crowbar, and highly useful if you're in construction. But it is an undeniable crime to use that same crowbar to pry open a door you don't own. Authorization is the ultimate deciding factor here. All right, part 4, built-in frequency region locks. So we really need to look at the technical safety nets literally programmed into the device itself, because they fully disprove this myth that the Flipper operates as some sort of lawless free-for-all. A really common assumption is that this little tool can just broadcast signals willy-nilly across the entire radio spectrum. But can you actually transmit on any frequency you want? The short answer is an absolute no. The Flipper Zero physically restricts users to transmitting only on civilian-allowed frequencies, and those vary greatly depending on your geographical region. For example, as we can see, the sub-GHz frequencies permitted in the United States look very, very different from those allowed in the European Union or Japan. The manufacturers specifically designed the device so that, straight out of the box, your transmission capabilities are severely restricted to keep you legally compliant with your local broadcasting regulations. And the way it does this is actually incredibly sophisticated. When you update the device's firmware, whether you're using your computer or the mobile app, it detects your region and provisions the hardware accordingly. If you travel internationally, updating the device automatically adjusts that region lock, actively preventing you from transmitting on prohibited local frequencies. Literally, if you try to broadcast outside your allowed zone, the screen will pop up and tell you that transmission is blocked in your region. It is a brilliant, built-in legal safeguard. Part 5. Navigating airport security checks. Now, with all this talk of international travel, let's give some practical, actionable advice for the frequent flyer out there. First off, because the Flipper Zero contains a lithium battery, it must absolutely 100% go in your carry-on bag. Do not put it in your checked luggage. Second, keep it fully powered off during transit. Third, because its shape can look a little unusual on an X-ray scanner, just be prepared for secondary screening. Carrying a quick printout explaining it's an educational tech tool is a great, proactive step. Finally, and I cannot stress this enough, airport security is deeply concerned about unauthorized access. Never, under any circumstances, use the device to interact with airside airport infrastructure. Just follow these steps and you'll generally align perfectly with aviation transport rules. Finally, Part 6. Protecting your business infrastructure. For all the business owners and IT managers watching, we really need to reframe how you view this device. The true threat to your business isn't a little orange plastic toy. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the shift in perspective it demands. The real threat is the legacy, unencrypted RFID badges your business is likely still using to secure its doors. Devices like the Flipper don't magically hack secure networks. They simply expose the outdated physical security systems that have already been vulnerable for over a decade. They highlight weaknesses that a bad actor could easily exploit by just brushing past an employee in a coffee shop. So, what do? How do you actually mitigate this? Well, you must implement multi-factor physical access controls. Do not rely solely on a single tap of an NFC or RFID card. It's just not enough anymore. Furthermore, your organization needs to start treating physical access breaches with the exact same rigor as a digital network breach. And finally, sit down and create a strict, written policy explicitly outlining the rules for any multi-radio testing tools on your premises. Solid access controls and a clear, enforced policy will completely defeat proximity cloning attacks before they even happen. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to ponder today. Is your building's physical security as outdated as a single-layer password? The technology used to test our defenses is only getting smaller, smarter, and way more accessible. It is entirely up to us to ensure that the systems protecting our businesses